Today marks day one of the Metal Industries Collective Bargaining Summit taking place at Emperor's Palace in Kempton Park. This is where we've seen role players just gathering from early in the morning from the private sector to the public sector. We're talking about labor federations and labor unions that have gathered here. They'll gather here for the coming 2 days as this marks the eve of that collective bargaining process that will kick off from tomorrow in this sector. Of course, this sector very important to the economy, but it has not done well looking at the challenges, the domestic challenges that have existed over time. But here we're taking stock in terms of where are we and those well-needed interventions that will make sure that as the economy goes through all of these hardships, those that gather at the bargaining table within this sector get the best out of this collective bargaining process. I'm going to invite Professor Cheadle into the conversation now. He's going to be forming part of that panel discussion looking at the economy. We're taking stock. We're looking at where we come from in terms of CODESA as well. And we're looking at a reimagined economy that will make sure that we get the best out of this collective bargaining process. Welcome to the SABC, Prof.
Thank you very much.
So I'm sorry about that. Just let us in then, Prof, of where are we here right now. We took a step back looking at where we come from. We also touched on NEDLAC as well. Let us in on your presentation from inside.
Well, in brief, the presentation dealt really with the original conception of the 1995 Labour Relations Act, which was primarily to promote sectoral bargaining, to support strong unions and strong employer associations, and to promote co-determination in the form of workplace forums. The sad point to make is that the sectoral bargaining is under threat. There's very little co-determination, and it's really important for us to now relook at what was originally intended and to see whether or not we can reimagine and recreate a labor relations system and collective bargaining that will assist in the recovery of the economy and.
I mean, Prof, if I can come in there as well. Over time, we've seen the gap widen between the employer and the employees. Labor federations up in arms. We often see industrial action in these, processes where collective bargaining processes are concerned. And often workers are saying they're not getting the best out of these processes. And squarely at the center of it is an economy that has not been prudent over time. How do we navigate this economy and ensure that both of these parties get the best out of this collective bargaining process?
Well, we've got to move away from an adversarial system, and up to now there's just been positional bargaining, and the point is that if there's not enough money, then what has to happen is to improve productivity, because that's what will release money for more equitable distribution between employers and employees.
The headwinds that we've seen right now, we're talking about load shedding. We're hearing that the economy is losing about 1.5 to 4 billion rand as this load shedding, heightened levels of load shedding continue to play out. Can we really bypass or navigate these headwinds when we look at these collective bargaining processes? Well,
it's only through collective bargaining and the social partners that need to get together and in a tripartite that means the state, trade unions and employers to try and navigate our way through that process, as they've done successfully in dealing with COVID-19, where the tripartite NEDLAC provided a code, provided unemployment insurance. So there are real possibilities of achieving or assisting government in navigating past these what you call headwinds.
All right, Professor Cheadle, thank you very much for your time. Let's let you go so you can go back inside. But he's coming through there as one of the delegates and a panelist at the first day of this summit here. They're just taking stock, and most of them are just talking about the fact that we really are trying to navigate an unprecedented time where the economy is concerned, and those frictions that we tend to see is something that is coming from the dissatisfaction that these parties are facing, and they're trying by all means to ensure that as they craft and chart a way forward around this collective bargaining process in this sector that will avoid industrial action, where they're saying that has seen the workers often in the receiving end where that is concerned. But government is here. Minister Thula Singesi will form part of these proceedings, and we'll also see the Deputy Minister of Finance, David Masondo, also forming part of these sessions here. Katlego Legodi, SABC News at Emperor's Palace in Kempton Park.